Well, Vince, what time is it?
That question. And what time zone are we in?
That's another good question. That's another good question. Man, Youth Central Sports be coming to you a little, we are coming to you an hour late. We on Vince time tonight. Got some things going on, so we just wanted to make sure we definitely come your way because, we're here supposedly, but actually every Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern time, right here at www.youthcentralsports.com. How you doing, Vince?
Doing really good today. How about yourself?
Hey, man, any day above ground, I'm great. Any day above ground, I'm good.
Absolutely.
Hey, listen, you got to give me an update on what's going on in Tennessee. We always start off with what's going on in Tennessee. You got to give us an update on the knee, on the leg.
Charles, I'm happy to announce I went to the doctor today and I heard from the doctor today. I've been celebrating all day long. I've been released to go back to work. I still got to do a little bit of therapy, but he was very pleased with my progress. I'm just eclipsing 5 months since the accident, almost 5 months. Also coming up of surgery, so I've been cleared. I'm excited, feeling really good. Just continuing to get better each and every day.
Okay. So what's going on sports-wise with the team and what you've been doing, with the kids?
I've been doing some individual. We've been having gym. I've been doing some skill development work with some of the players. This time of year coming on our mandatory basketball in June. The kids are playing AAU basketball, family vacations, and things like that. But we are getting some kids in. We had 10 kids in there the other day. So we're starting to get our early work done, getting ready for the fall, having a chance to play some ball, work with some kids on some skill development work. Just really just trying to shape this thing, start getting it ready.
I got a question for you. Let me see if I can ask this. What do you think the mindset of the parents today versus parents when Oliver played? When you played or when Oliver played, what do you see the difference in the mindset of parents then and parents now when it comes to the kids in sports?
I think what you see today, a lot of parents are misinformed. They have high expectations sometimes of the kid. They really, I find a lot of times that they're really involved. Yet as much what I'm seeing here a lot of times extra help for their kid, some personal trainers and things like that. But they also sometimes the level of expectation sometimes is higher than the kid's actual ability to perform. They see a little AAU ball maybe, and the kid is having some success there, and they think that translates to high school basketball. Sometimes it does, most of the time it does not, because AAU and what they're playing there is not as structured as the high school programs are. So, and I can see on one half they're more informed, and the other half they're under-informed. So it's a lot different than it was. I think parents, when I was coming along, they were just happy to see their kids play. Now it's a business about trying to get that child into the collegiate opportunity, and so these recruiters, in my opinion, are making the money. Most of them don't deliver. There are a few that do, but they're taking these guys' money, promising things they cannot deliver. So it's really a tough game out there today. Parents have to really be on their P's and Q's about the people that they're exposing their kids to, and they're being exposed to. So it's more vicious now than it was before.
Well, that was part of what I want to do with my summit coming up this year. That was part of what we talked about, but we'll talk about that later. But over the years, and I'm talking about over the years because when you're young and you play, you don't think about life later on when you married and you have a family and having kids. But over the years, some of the guys that I played ball with, some of the guys that I very much respect as players. We have talked about the kids over the years, and it's so frustrating to hear them talk because they, and you would be able to relate to this in reference to, they say, man, my kid have the talent, but they just don't have the passion. And it's so interesting to see kids call themselves playing and want to play, but don't have the passion, and they don't understand. And it's funny because when you have that conversation with your peers, guys that you played with, and now they have kids, and you want to pass that on, and you can kind of sometimes see the frustration on their face. Sometimes you can they just go like, man, I gave up. I tried.
Yeah, that is very disheartening at times, and I do think one of the things I find also too, basketball IQ, and I think what I've also been somewhat surprised about it, that a number of kids aren't really playing any basketball, not physically getting out active playing. They may not even pick up basketball. A lot of it's video games. That time, there's no substitute for actually getting out there on that court and playing. And that's what big difference. And they don't understand terminology because they haven't played enough basketball. The IQ, all that falls up under preparation, being prepared, and acting. And if you don't have that, that's one of the things I see lacking in the kids. Then the parents are trying to make up for it. The parents are trying to make up for it with their enthusiasm for what's going on, but it doesn't translate that well.
Right, you're right. It's funny because I was talking actually a few years ago. I put up a whole bunch of old pictures. People was calling me up off of Facebook, going like, "Where did you get that picture? Where you get that?" I was like, "You gave it to me." Yeah, but that's a picture when I was 7. That's a picture when I was 9. I'm like, that's when you gave it to me, because I still have all these old pictures, and some pictures of when I grew up with my grandmother on that side of town by Rebold and Rains. And I had a lot of those pictures, and they were just like, man, where did these pictures come from? And one of them called me and said, Charles, one of my friends were looking at our pictures that you put up. And in our little gang that I call gang, that's what we call ourselves, a little gang, not like the gang that we know the gang to be. But we were a little gang that was very tight, very close, looked out for each other, played a lot. And the person said, I'm looking at your pictures, and all of you guys just look so fit and slim. And the point of it was that he was trying to tell them, because we got out and played every day. We was outside every day. You know, we rode our bikes. You know, we played softball, we played baseball, we played football, we played basketball, we played jacks, we did hopscotch, we did all these things, hide and seek, all outdoors. And you didn't have a choice. You had to go outside. You know, it's not like it's like that's what you had. And the only time that we came inside was when it was thunder and lightning. That was it.
That's
you know. And then the thing is, it was funny because I never will forget, as my grandmother used to holler out the door, y'all better come in from out of that heat. Y'all gonna get a heat stroke. But when you're a kid and you're young, you have no idea what she's talking about. I know what she's talking about now, but back then I had no idea what she meant by you better come in and you're gonna have a heat stroke. But you know, you out there in the middle of the summer in June, July, and August, and it's, you know, as a kid, you don't realize it's 97, 95 degrees, but you out there in the middle of the day and didn't even think about that. You can't imagine just being in the house.
Yeah, well, one of the things too is the fitness of today's athlete. Although a lot of them are really starting to understand the importance of nutrition, how to eat, how much rest they're getting, and what they're doing to their body, but there's still a vast amount of kids still don't get it. That was a big difference coming up. Well, we stayed outside a lot. You don't hear as many illnesses during our times as young people as you hear. I think a lot of it is because of the fact they're not active enough. But of course, a lot of that has to do with what they're eating as well. Some of the other activities that they're involved in, but was the best of that. We love to be outside. We didn't know it in the playground without air conditioning. That was understood. I mean, that was expected.
Yeah, well,
and today they look at you like, serious?
Well, we were the last one on the. Well, I mean, we was the last one on the block to get that wall AC, the kind where you put in the window. We was the last one on the block to get one. I'm serious. And we never did get one over my mom's house. Okay, we never did get one. And I think when I left for college, they got a ceiling fan.
Big difference. big, big difference in the day. It's a huge difference.
Yeah. Um, my cousin was recently talking. Actually, I had a chance to see him a few weeks ago up in Atlanta, and we had a conversation about 2 months ago. His daughter played volleyball, and they had a tournament in Orlando, and I think they had been there about 5 times with her team playing volleyball or cheerleading, blah 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 blah. So he's sitting there and he's telling me. I mean, think about this, Vince. I want you to seriously think about this. They're out at Disney. They're playing the volleyball, and you got scouts everywhere from all the schools from across the nation, right? So the scout comes up to her and basically offer her a scholarship. And she said, let me think about it. Now, mind you, my cousin knows that the scout is going, really? I got all these other kids lined up that I could offer scholarships to, and you got to think about it? And so his point was, he said, Charles, when we grew up, we didn't have all these distractions.
Right.
We focus on these things because now they have all this social media in so many ways that how their perspective and how they see things is totally different, and they focus. And can you imagine back then somebody coming up to you and just saying, I'm going to give you a free education, and you going, well, but the other thing too is, I guess her attitude and outlook is, well, my parents going to pay for it anyway. But I'd be like, if that had been me, I'd be like, we don't have no money. Yeah, you need to go over and talk to that coach.
Well, a lot of times too, I think that's where you talk about earlier about passion for the sport, where the individual understands the importance of what's being said to him or her, what they've actually saved. My parents put out that out-of-pocket event. I can commit myself to getting in and really doing what I have to do to earn this scholarship, which is valuable because it saves them money, gives me a free education, a chance to showcase my talent, and possibly make the team and get minutes. A lot of times kids don't see that. Some kids have alternatives. Sport is not their way out. It's not their way out. Sport is not really their interest. Sometimes kids are just playing because it's doing this. Now, future include that, and I understand that. But for that kid that really depends and wants and has that passion for it, it's a validation for someone to say, listen, I'd like to give you a scholarship to come play on my program. That's a validation of your skill level, your talent, and the interest they have. So, yeah, it's a huge difference. But sometimes it's a given. They can take it for granted. They don't appreciate it.
Right. Well, yeah, because I just can't imagine, But and then to think, Vince, that when you talk about the passion, that you had to have something there to get to a level enough where a scout can come and see you and go, oh, I want to give you a scholarship. So that meant that you spent some time developing and honing your skills, but not really the passion enough, I guess, to take it to that next level, let alone to understand what it is to travel, the experience, and to see the world and get a free education. But hey,
But see, I think what happens is that's when that kid is. Today's market is so much different. There's a lot of opportunity for one to showcase his or her talents. Social media is strong. There's a program here. There's a tournament over here. There's exposure over here. I was talking with you earlier about the number of games, for instance, a basketball player is playing from the end of his season to the start of the next season. Sometimes they're playing as many because they got AAU in April and May. June, you normally have team camps. Then you got July and August. And then they go back to school and we get ready for the season. They're playing an awful lot of basketball or tennis or whatever it is that they're doing. And what I contend is that they don't take care of their body. They're overexposing their body. So much basketball, so much football, so much whatever it is that they're doing. They're not caring for themselves. that come season time, in my mind, when it really counts, they're breaking down. They're coming
No.
into the season with injuries that they have from the summer, not prepared, playing and I know specifically in basketball, I know a couple of kids right now played 60, 70 games already. That's just way too much on the body. Case in point, look at the NBA. A lot of these one and done kids took over the summer league action. A lot of them were missing games because they were getting simple injuries that their bodies are not accustomed to. They're at the game is faster, players are bigger, it's a whole lot different, and they've only played 1 year. They're technically still high school basketball players. And some of them convert very well, but a lot of them do not. A lot of them come up with these little ticky-tack injuries that their body cannot. Now, later on, they'll probably get that same injury and be able to play through it. But at this early stage of development, going into this NBA schedule and stuff, it's different. It's even coming out of high school to college. I mean, the game speeds up quite a bit. And players get bigger, and so a lot to be said about that. That's one of my pet peeves is preparation and taking care of your mind and your body. And loving this sport to the point that you protect it by protecting yourself.
Well, speaking of that, then let's play catch up. Summer League, NBA, because I know that you was watching it. So, what did you see over the past? Since the last time I talked to you.
Lot of good basketball. One of the things about this year's Summer League is 30 teams participated in the league this year. So you had 82 games played in 2 weeks.
Wow.
So a lot of basketball was played. Everybody got involved. So every player, unless he was injured, got a chance to be seen, whether he would make the current team that he's playing for. A lot of people got contracts out of this. A lot of second-year players really solidified themselves to their teams. A couple of rookies, Devon Carter of West Virginia, got signed just before the championship for a 2-year deal. So there's a lot of kids they got a chance to see and be seen. Some kids are very well prepared, others are not. Some teams look really well prepared for a short period of time that they've been, and I think that has to do with basketball. To me, it was exciting basketball. The finals came down to the Lakers and Portland. Last year's final, where the Lakers won, and this year they beat Portland last year, and this year Portland beat them. Some pretty decent basketball. Interesting thing, Hart. I think last year LeVar Ball was the Summer League MVP. This year, John Hart from the Lakers was the MVP. Did not have a good game. In fact, he got ejected from the game.
Yeah,
but young man had a very good Summer League, though. Very, very good Summer League.
I am not familiar with him. I have no idea who he is.
Second-year player. Yeah, he's a second-year player. He had a pretty good minutes for the Lakers last year. Good guard, handles the ball well, shoots the ball really well. Strong, very strong, and had a chance to really showcase his talent. I mean, they really fell in love with him this year. I mean, just seeing his progression from last year to this year, he was stronger, more confident, faster on the floor, and that's what the game is about: is learning. Can you imagine Trae Young struggled first part of the year, but first part of the Summer League, and really came on very strong and shot the ball well and did some of the things they expected. Imagine he comes back next year, what it's going to be today. He's got a year under his belt now. He comes back, and then he's going to grow a little more. He's going to pick up a little bit of speed, going to pick up a little bit of weight on that body. Those big guys, the kid out of Arizona, those kids coming, they're going to be bigger and faster next year playing. So it really is a good testimony for me to really see a lot of kids get a chance to play, but they get exposed. Because you got NBA teams, you got the D League there, you got the overseas leagues teams. So while you may not make this NBA team, but you still have an opportunity to play. So I thought it was great. I was glued to the TV.
Did anybody surprise you? Well, actually, let me ask this question: who surprised you, and who disappointed you?
Well, I thought Trae Young started out. He disappointed me at first, but he really came along and really got after it really well. I thought DiVincenzo, young man out of Villanova, had a good, but I expected better. But he showed flashes of being one heck of a ball player. That Marvin Bagley and the young man from Arizona and Mobambo, the kid that went to the Magic, they delivered as expected. Now Bagley ended up having an hip injury that they took him out. You know, he didn't let him play anymore the rest of this the summer league. You know, obviously for stadium. Those guys delivered. They came as advertised. And I know I'm leaving out a couple because as you go across that spectrum, you had some guys that delivered. But those guys stuck out in my mind.
Okay. Anybody disappointed you other than Young?
There were some ups and downs. The young man I was hoping to see was Joe Barry out of North Carolina that signed. He wasn't drafted, but was able to come in and play, get a contract with the Lakers. Got hurt early, and as far as I can tell, played none of the summer leagues at all. Nothing in Sacramento, nothing in when they played in Utah, and didn't play at all out there in Vegas. Really wanted to see him get on the floor. I don't know what position that's going to put him in. The Lakers are guard heavy. That may not have given him the best opportunity. A lot of Carolina players got exposed. I was really Theo Pinson had a good run there with Brooklyn. So kind of disappointed Joe didn't get a chance to see him play. Grayson Allen, I'm not a big fan. He's a dookie. Makes it, but the young man did showcase. He did a couple of things I expected him to do. He was a knucklehead on schedule, but he also played some basketball too. I gotta give him credit for that. And those kids out of Kentucky, those Kentucky players showed they were prepared to play. It's going to be interesting now to see as they get down to the final teams who made it, and if they didn't make it, where would they end up? Because a lot of those kids, you know, the teams they were playing for, like Matt Williams that played out of UCF, played on Miami's team last year. He was playing for another team that summer, trying to secure a job, and that's what it's all about. About coming out there, showing what you have, and trying to secure a job anywhere you can get one.
Okay. A couple of people in the news. A couple of you.
Yes.
Charles Barkley is in the news. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see. What did Barkley do this time?
It's having to do with gambling fraud. Wait a minute.
Whoa.
Did you see where Charles Oakley was in the news?
Yeah, it was Charles Oakley. Yeah,
No. Hold on, wait a minute. Let me go back. I was just trying to see because I did see Oakley in the news the other day. But let me see if I read it wrong. Because I did see Oakley in the news. But
it was Oakley. I didn't anything on Charles, but I know Oakley was in there for his attempt to defraud at the gambling table in Vegas.
Right. Okay, maybe I read it wrong. Okay, because you know Charles loves to gamble.
Well, and Charles can afford it. That's one thing Charles said. They were talking about Mike. They worry about Mike. He said, "No, Mike got enough money. You got to worry about Mike going broke gambling. He's okay." So Charles can afford it.
Right. He was saying that that's what he was trying to explain to his mom. He said, "Mom, we have money now." You know, but did you? Well, let me go ahead and ask you about LeBron, Lakers. Fifth, eighth place, seventh place next year, sixth place.
I actually think they'll probably be now, as stated by others. I think anytime you have LeBron James on your team, you're going to finish a place higher than you possibly normally would have finished. And I have to agree that he's going to bring a lot to the table. The other part of that is going to be what you put around him. I think they'll be middle of the pack. Some say they're going to make the playoffs. I don't think so. But I think they'll be 3, 4, maybe 5 out there, but I don't think that. And if they do, they're out the first round.
Right.
It's gonna be interesting to see what they put around him as well. Still a lot of pieces need to be assembled. Still a lot of guys that are still out there that are available that have not been picked up yet either. So it's going to be interesting to see. You know, Kevin Love was talking about he wanted to come out of Cleveland. Carmelo Anthony looks like he possibly could be going. Not exactly sure where. Houston came up for a possibility. The Hawks have come up as a possibility. But also, you know, Kawhi, who I thought may end up out there for sure next year. Right now, that's an interesting trade because I'm interested to see. He didn't want to go to Canada.
Right.
He said, you know, you don't want to play in cold weather. It's definitely cold in Canada.
I am a witness. I'm a witness to that.
I am also.
I have been to Canada in the winter. Trust me.
I hope he doesn't sit out a year again because I really think that would hurt him if he doesn't get out there and play. So Andy Rosen, real upset because he feel like he was lied to. He's disgruntled. But I think when he gets to San Antonio, go ahead and go to San Antonio, Pop. I think.
Well, see, that's another thing that always gets me, Vince, and I guess maybe because I'm older. I don't know. They're part of a very elite fraternity, and
yes,
when you are part of that, it's not like he got traded to a team that's in Alaska or out of the league. You're in the NBA. You go into the San Antonio Spurs. Not like you go into the Nets, the Knicks, or Phoenix. You go into San Antonio. You got a 3-year contract. Yeah, but you still in the NBA, and I just don't understand those guys. You know, Nick Foles for the Eagles was on ESPN today, and I kind of picked up on him when they won the Super Bowl and the things that he said when they interviewed him after the game was over, Vince. And today, it really showed who he is as a person, more so because his whole thing was because when they was talking to him on ESPN, they was trying to get him to say something in reference of being, you know, a backup. You know, you the MVP. You won the Super Bowl, but he turned that whole thing around by answering, you know what? A year or so ago, I had lost the heart for the game, but now I understand what it is, and I love the game. I'm thankful to be here. God put me in a position to take care of my family. I know what it's like to go to the Super Bowl. When Wentz, is it Wentz? What's the quarterback name that got hurt for Philly? Vince.
Yeah. All right. Now you're down.
Okay. Now I was saying, well, are you there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. The what was the quarterback name that got hurt for Philly? Wentz, is it Wentz?
Yeah.
Right. So, he said he's a great quarterback. Basically, he was saying that he really should be the starter. If something happens where I get to play, then I'll be ready. It was a great experience, but I got a good contract. I'm able to take care of my family. I'm in a great position. I love playing in Philadelphia. He just answered it like, I'm thankful to be in the NFL. You know, because you know how they try to turn it around.
Yeah, but I think in DeRozan's defense, though, he had conversation from what I management team and administrative team, and it was said to him that, you know, you're good. We're not going to trade you. You're going to be a part of this. Now, the business of the business of the league is the business of the league. I mean, maybe that's what I felt like at the time, but I got an opportunity to get this player. I got to make a deal. I do think sometimes we forget the kindness of dealing with people, where I can at least call you in and say, listen, I know what we said, situation has changed, I got to go a different or whatever. And I don't know if any of that took place or not, but he came away feeling like he was lied to. They didn't care about him given the previous conversation. I can appreciate that. At the end of the day, it's business, and I think sometimes we take the young players in general, as I would also. Don't tell me something. Tell me it's a possibility that we may have to do this or whatever. They emphatically said it's not going to happen. Now, what transpired in between that, I don't know. I haven't heard that yet. But I agree in principle. You don't like it, but but you're still here. You get a chance to go and play and be able to execute on that end on a team that's pretty good. I can remember when Perkins, Kendrick Person left Boston. Everybody was there. Dr. Rivers didn't want him to go. His teammates didn't want him to go. He didn't want to go, but it was up what was for the organization. Everybody got over it. They were tears were shed. People were upset, but bottom line, we got to move on. I mean, it's nothing personal. It's just that you happen to be in a position to help us get what we want. That's what this was about. But I still understand his feelings, but to your point, at the end of the day, you're still an NBA player, and you could be going to a very good situation. But he's human. He is human.
Well, yeah, that part I get. But again, let me see. Him or Kawhi, okay, you just got swept. You went to the playoff 3 years and you couldn't beat Cleveland. You just got swept. Kawhi, that ain't hard to make, but Vince. That's not a hard decision.
Well, Danny Green is coming too, who's a
right.
great ball player. Danny said what Danny Green did. He said something to San Antonio. Hey guys, appreciate you. Thank you. Y'all been great fans. I'll miss you. I enjoy being here. Thank you so much for your support. But I got to go. I mean, it is. It's the nature of what happens. I do understand that you get attached. I do understand you want to stay, but we got to get better. And he's a commodity.
Exactly.
He has value. He has value. And so, how else am I? I mean, for me to get this player, and they gave up this other guy, Jacoby
Center.
Yeah, that Paulette, I think his name.
Right.
He got to go too. He may be going to a better situation that he came from. It's all about how, and I think DeRozan is going to do well. I think once he gets his feelings over and gets down there and Pop embrace him and he see what's going on, it's a rebuilding process. It's a good place for him to be, in my opinion. Very good place for him to be. Now, what's he going to do with it? What's he going to do with it?
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. Did you see where Brent Musburger is going to be the voice of the Oakland Raiders?
I'm not a huge Brent Musburger fan. I was very happy when he retired. And I'm thinking to myself, my God, y'all bringing him back. But he is a true fan of sport. I'll give him that. He's been around. He's been around. He's done a lot of things. He does have a unique sound. I'll say that about him. And that's going to be the story for the franchise going out there. I thought that was interesting that they would bring Brent Musburger.
Well, I grew up on Brent Musburger back in the day when he was talking about the Mountain Man versus the franchise. The Mountain Man versus the franchise.
That's one of the reasons I'm not a Brent Musburger fan.
Bill Walton didn't like that, but back,
But I'm with Bill. I'm with Bill. There's a lot to Brent Musburger. He had made Bill Cowan, a big redhead from who was playing with Boston at the time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, made him into a poster child. I mean, I think he did well. He compared him to Walt Frazier, that Walt was lavish and all that, and Bill was very simple in the way he approached the game, and he had an old car, and I don't care nothing about that. Frazier was my guy. Well, I mean, the way that they have to get a contract.
Wait a minute, hold on. How do you compare Walt Frazier to Dave Cowens? That's like night and day.
What he was talking about is their decisions on how they live their lives, and I didn't think that was any of his business. I didn't think chose to live one particular way, opposite of what Frazier did, that made him, either one of them, better than the other. It's life choices.
Right.
Frazier saw life with a lot of light. Cowan saw life with less light. Okay, good difference. I mean, I applaud you both. But he tried to make out like Cowan was the workhorse. You know, the worker that comes in and punch in every day, the hard hat material, and Frazier on the other end, high profile, I didn't like that, because I guess I was a Frazier fan. Didn't care for the Celtics anyway. And you know, I mean, you know, don't stop rubbing it in my face. And I loved when they beat their brains in. You know, so that's one of the reasons. And Brent was personal. He was very personal sometimes in giving out personal feelings. And as a broadcaster, and I sometimes have to be careful. You're not asking about my personal opinion. You're asking about my opinion as it relates to the sport that we're talking about. If you say, well, Vincent, give me your opinion, that's different
right.
content. That's the way he presented it. And for that, I didn't like it. But I still think I will honor him as a professional, long-term professional. I got to admit, he had a strong presence, called the game well, great voice, will be fantastic for the Los Angeles Raiders.
Oakland.
Oakland. Well, they're gonna get lost. They're gonna be lost.
The Vegas Raiders.
Yes, Vegas Raiders. They can call it what they wanted, but they're gonna be the Vegas Raiders. They're building the stadium already. They're already building the stadium. So it's the Vegas Raiders.
Man, that's gonna be crazy in Vegas. Boy, I tell you, that's gonna be crazy when they go to Vegas.
Well, they were talking about that Vegas now is becoming a professional city, a pro sports city. They got hockey out there already. Now they're gonna bring football, and then they got the NBA Summer League and the USA basketball, which is also taking place this week after Summer League ended on Monday. Then USA coming in this week, and they're going to be around. So they got football, basketball, hockey, and I would imagine that it won't be long before baseball pops up.
Oh,
and really just continues to make that's a true entertainment capital of the world.
What do you think of the NFL not recognizing, I guess, not really saying anything about your boy T.O.? I guess they made that decision because, you know, T.O. decided to go and give his acceptance speech at his college, but now the NFL now is saying, I know we had talked about it before, but I don't think we had talked about the decision that the NFL had made about really just kind of like, well, we really won't talk about it. We really want to acknowledge him, but, you know, we will, but we won't.
I think I don't, and I'm again, you're trying not to make it personal. It's just I don't think it's news anymore. I mean, you made a decision, it's fine. Let's move on. Why talk about it? Why make a situation worse than it is? I mean, it is what it is. Leave it there. Leave it there. I think they're not going to even send him the coat. I think.
What?
Or I think they were going to mail him the coat. They're going to mail it to him, which he earned, and that's fine. If he don't want to go, then the news is that he made the decision not to go. The news is he gave his explanation as to why he didn't want to go. The news is he chose to speak at his school. Now the news is over.
Right.
Now we move on to something else. It's done.
Right.
So I sometimes we take issues and drag them out too long. There's nothing else to be said. The only other thing that needs to be said is if T.O. has something he want to add. And is it newsworthy? Well, let's hear it. Let's see. Maybe it is and maybe it isn't. But I think you move on.
Okay. Well, have you heard anything about the ESPYs at all tonight?
I have not. I was involved in an opportunity event earlier, and I did not get a chance to see much of what took place. I do know that who won the Kelly won the most courageous award. Am I right? Jim Kelly. Was it Kelly that won?
Oh, actually, you know what? I haven't seen anything on it. I actually just walked in the room.
Yeah, I think I saw. That's pretty much all I had seen on that. I think he did win something for that. Other than that, I have not had a chance to see, and I'm looking at the ticker tape now, trying to pick up a little bit of information.
Right.
I will say also in that still the trade rumors that Carmelo Anthony might be headed to the Hawks.
Oh, really?
they're having some conversation about that, trying to work that out to get him over there. They got to work out some numbers. Might not be a bad fit for him. I kind of thought going to the Lakers wouldn't have been a bad idea because he's a shooter, and they don't have enough shooters around LeBron at this time. But so that I'm kind of interested to see how that develops. That's something to watch.
Well, and the Hawks haven't been good for years. They haven't had a good team. As a matter of fact, I think about 2 years ago, I saw those guys play, and they didn't have anything as far as just effort and heart. And they were just, oh man, they just looked like they was. I don't know. I don't even know how to describe them. It was just hard to watch them.
Yeah, they have undergone a transformation, and I think they've been listening to the GM during the summer league. They kind of going in and just said we'll rebuild it. So we're gonna start back from the ground floor. Got a new coach. Brought in a whole new, pretty much an executive staff, and we're just going to build it from the ground up. And what they're going to try to do, instead of building it out of free agency, they're going to try to build it, trying to go out and trade for it. They're going to build it from the ground up. And if the people in Atlanta will be patient, in my opinion, that's the way you build those strong teams. I go back to the Warriors. That's how they built it. They took their lumps. Nobody talks about that for them to get to this point that they got to. They didn't do a lot of trading. They didn't bring all those guys in. I mean, the most talent they brought in was when they brought KD in. But they already had a strong effort prior to that. So being patient, that's what they're saying about the New York Knicks. Be patient, fans. We're going to give you all something to cheer for, but you got to be patient. Because I think Fizdale is going to deliver. And the senior management there have said, before they picked Fizdale, I listened to them for an hour and 2-hour conference one day, a news conference, when they talked about, listen, we're going to be real. We're going to back this thing back down to the bottom. We're going to build a foundation and build it up. Fizdale, I think, is the right guy. Now, the question would be, that being the high-profile market that it is, will the pressure from the community wear down the executives and make them change their mind? They said it not. They said they're staying in there. We're going to build it. They got some good pieces. They don't have Phil Jackson involved, so I'm giving them a thumbs up on that.
Well, I think they're going to have to probably draft somebody from Mars, from a different planet, if they want to, have a good team sometime soon.
Yeah, well, I mean, they got some good pieces now. I think Fizdale is going to really help them kind of bring it together, kind of pull it together. But it's not going to happen overnight. It is not going to happen overnight, and they might as well just be honest about that and take their lump like big boys, and take the little tutus off, and let's face reality.
Well, I already know the answer to the question. Were you a little disappointed that Serena didn't win? Yeah, she did good. I mean, to get to the finals.
She did good. You know what, though? Think about it, and I thought about this at the time, and I really probably shouldn't go ahead and say this, but we're all friends. We're among friends, and there seems to be a difference when you make that family commitment. I really think it takes a lot out of it. And I don't mean it negatively. I'm excited about her decision to do that. But it takes a lot out, because you look at, I think back to before she committed herself to a full-time relationship, not to mention to be married and have a child. You develop more time to your craft. You spending more time, you got more time to be, so to devote to honing your craft. Now she got married, and now being married wasn't so bad, but now she had to date the recovery time and getting back. So I was rooting for her. I really was, because I've been fans of she and Venus for a long time, and kind of watched them grow, if you will. But I agree. I thought she did well. I just think she was just, she just rusty, if you will.
Right.
It would have been a great story had she won. It would have been one heck of a sports story. But I still think it's worthy of mentioning. I still think it shows the heart, the desire of what it takes to be a winner, how committed she is. And now, on such a big stage, you see the balance of trying to be a professional athlete, a wife, and a mother, and kind of balance all that, and that's not easy. That's not easy. Being a wife, a mother, and a professional athlete. Because think about dad on the other side. Now, dads, they're not exempted from that now, but sometimes, you know, they're out on the road, mom's home taking care of the child in a lot of cases. In their household, it's reversed. She's out there on the road trying to commit for that sport, while I assume he's home raising the baby. Different dynamic, but same principle. Same principle.
Now Vince, I'm going to share something with you. There's two quotes out of all the movies that I've seen over my lifetime that has stuck with me. One is from the Star Wars movies. I think it was the second movie, The Return of the Jedi, right?
Okay.
Luke Skywalker goes to see Yoda, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he goes to see Yoda. He lands wherever it is where Yoda is in the swamp, right? And his ship sinks down in the water. So him and R2, and they sitting there looking for Yoda. He finally found Yoda, and he starts his training, right? So he's saying, I don't like being here, I want to leave, but there's my ship. And so Yoda says, use the Force, and you can bring this ship up out of the water, right? Mm-hmm. So he sits there, and he brings it up just a little bit, right? Just a little, he raises it up just a little bit. Then he goes, can't do it. Mm. So now Yoda sits there, and he does this little concentration, and he brings the ship up, moves it, set it aside, set it down. And then Luke Skywalker looks, and he's in this awe, like, oh my goodness. He says, I don't believe it. And Yoda says, that's why you failed. Mm-hmm. I love that. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is my second one. In Rocky, I think it was Rocky 2. The trainer, what's the old guy name? I don't remember his name.
I wasn't a big fan of that, so I don't either.
But okay, now the old guy, and he's training Rocky, trying to get him ready for the fight, and Rocky is kind of like, really not into it, blah 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 blah. And he turned around into Rocky, and he said, "The worst thing that ever happened to you is that you became civilized."
Right.
And I like, now he don't have the heart of a champion, because now you got money, everything nice and fat, you're not hungry no more. Those are my two famous quotes from movies.
Those things, life changes your hunger. I remember hearing I was watching $1 million listings of New York, and they were selling 50 Cent's home that he bought upstate Connecticut, a huge piece of property. And he was saying that originally he wanted to sell it because he had all this big house all by himself, and he no longer felt the need to have it. Then he decided not to sell the house. He was going to give it away to charity for a youth program that he had, so they could utilize all that property. And during the course of the conversation, he made the statement, I left on tour with nothing. Came back with all this money, more money than I ever could imagine, and that piece of property was the first thing he bought. I mean, he got a gym in it, he's got a recording studio. I mean, it's huge up there. And he said, but now I don't need all of that. Since that time, he said, he said, I come back off a tour, and this tour I thought was important. I left broke and came back with all this money that I had to do with, more money than I ever imagined. And he bought this huge property. And now it looks like his mindset has changed. You lose that edge. You're not hungry anymore. And not that that's a bad thing, but he changed his focus. He went back and said, I want to give this property to this foundation, a youth for the arts, so they could come and utilize all that, which I thought was great, because they had a great deal on the house. They had the real estate agents had got a $4-5 million. He said, I would sell it if I needed the money. He said, if I needed the money, this would be a great time to sell, but I don't need the money. And in turn, he turned around and gave it away. Now, that's not being hungry that's still eating regular, but not being hungry.
Right.
But he chose to share with someone. It changes you. You can say it. When you 5 or 6 can't tell me don't change. You can't tell me. I mean, and one of the things Serena says is she said at the end of the day she knows she was going home to her daughter and her husband. No matter what, she was going home to her daughter.
But Vince, you and I have been around long enough to understand that the world and the perception and the things in which we are surrounded by and the things in which we're taught is not necessarily true. So there's a transformation of wisdom that comes with life and days spent. And then when you hear so many stories of so many people downsizing anyway, because now that they have it, they realize that it was more hype than it was when you trying to say, well, I have this, that, and that, this. But that's not going to necessarily fulfill your life and bring you happiness, because you come to find out that life is something else other than what you've been taught as you thought the world, as the world tells you this is what this is.
But Charles, back to being hungry. I'm hungry for what you say I need to have to eat. And do you really need that much to eat? Probably not, but it's what it is the perception of it all. Now that I have it all, I don't really want all of that.
Right.
I mean, I was hungry coming in, but I've eaten now. I'm not as hungry as I was before. I don't need all of this. And then I think just to cross, as the family grows, a lot of times these families are spread out. I think about these NFL coaches and NBA coaches' families, husbands and now the women coaching in NFL. I mean, basketball, going from their families all the time. A lot of times people just simply think, you know what? I mean, I enjoy it, but it's time to go home. I mean, my child grew up, and I didn't even know my child.
Right.
But that evolution. Here's a trend I wanted to come back to real quick. Okay. You know, I talked to you the other day about the NBA commissioner talked about the number of female referees that they wanted to get into the actual NBA game, and that was a targeted. Have you noticed recently there are a lot of female coaches now being hired? You don't see them. You don't see it. You know the young lady Becky Hammons out of San Antonio was probably she and Nancy Lieberman are ones that we recognize right off the bat. But a lot of these teams got these ladies are behind the benches. And sometimes they go unnoticed. But that's a trend that's starting to come to bring them to the table to I guess give enough, because they do bring a different view. It's still basketball. But so that's a trend. Since they're trying to make this thing even more attractive. I like some of these changes than adding a 4-point shot, than adding another official on the floor. I'm like, oh my God! Now they come up with the coaches challenge with the green light. They tried that in the summer league, and I understood. It's kind of like the NFL with the red flag coaches challenge. It's kind of interesting, a nice twist. Kind of made a little bit more sense, but 4 officials on the floor, a 4-point shot. It's for me, that's a little bit too much. Now they want to shorten the number of timeouts that you get. I can see you saving the quarters from 12 to 10. I can see that. That's what they did in some league. They made it 10-minute quarters. They gave you 10 fouls, 10 personal fouls, up until the playoffs. Then it went back to 6. I kind of see that. Those were kind of subtle changes. I think they're experimenting with some things that could probably enhance the game. So, evolution of the game, if you will, evolution of the game, trying to keep it competitive, entertaining, and efficient. They did a lot of changes to football. They said it was too long. Well, football fans don't care how long the game takes. If it's exactly. 6 hours, they don't really care. But for entertainment value, sponsorship dollars and airtime, the cost of airtime, I understand that. We want to kind of, package it down a little bit. So those things I think do help the game. But some of the rules that come up that they were discussing putting in don't make sense. Not to me. Not to me. I don't think they help the game. I don't think they help the game.
Wow. Well, that's the one thing that I keep saying. It keep evolving. Not necessarily to better the game. It's just trying to better
Not
their
all the time.
pocketbook and dollars. So
Well, you do
that sometimes become
have to
frustrating because they seem to be taking away from what the game is really supposed to be about.
Well, that's the part of the evolution. That's like they were saying, like one of the Constable was saying the other day, the championship game. What would the NBA be like today if for Shaq if he was playing in today's game? Shaq would be unbelievably on the offensive side, score anytime he chose to, because there's no way to stop him. Defensively, he'd be a huge, huge liability. You can't cover nobody because they do a lot of pick and rolls and switches now. When they've got that big man out on the perimeter covering, they get him in pick and roll coverage. Shaq could not have done that. He could, so Shaq was a rim protector. They don't have that, because if you don't go out there and cover them, they're gonna shoot your eyeballs out. Even today's big man, although there seems to be a comeback of the big man, this big man today shoots the basketball. Okay, he kind of like what Olajuwon was, except they out a little bit further.
Right.
And Shaq couldn't survive today. Kareem, he'd be fine. The hook shot, there's nothing they can do with the Kareem hook. Nothing. But he would be hurt on the defensive side about it. If you pull Kareem around away from the basket, as big as he is, he might give you a momentary effort, but with all that pick and roll, he'd get caught out there too.
But he would cover it much better than Shaq would, though.
I would cover it much better than Shaq. And nothing against Shaq. I don't want anybody to Shaq, if you by chance watching, nothing personal.
Question: have you talked to your brother about coming on the show?
I did indeed. He was excited about it. We were going to try to. In fact, we were discussing tonight is a possibility, but because of my schedule tonight and prior commitment that I had, we couldn't put it off. So we're hoping next week we might be able to make that happen.
Okay, well, I mean, let me know. Is it where is he now?
He's right here in Nashville right now.
Oh, is it?
Yes, he is. He's right here in Nashville right now. He's considering a move back to Nashville, which I would be extremely happy if he did. It'd be nice to have him close by. But he's working through the preliminaries now to see how it works out. I suggested he come to Milwaukee, to come to Nashville as opposed to me going to Milwaukee. I'm not going to Milwaukee.
Oh, really? Really? Well, I've been to both cities. Let me see. I don't drink beer because in Milwaukee, because they got the breweries there. Nashville, all I saw was a bunch of boots, hats, and belt buckles. So, okay.
I can tell you this. Nashville has tremendously changed.
Really?
It's in a growth spurt right now. I found a jazz club right in the heart of Nashville. I have not had a chance to attend yet, but they have. I always thought Nashville was country music capital of the world, which it is. But there's so many genres of music around the city. Music Row is full of the honky-tonk bars and all that kind of stuff, which is very entertaining. But there's so much other growth going on in this city. It's unbelievable how fast it's growing. My thing about Milwaukee is cold as stink up there, and they don't have a summer. They have an Indian summer, then it's cold again.
Right. And
that bad boy snows like there is no tomorrow. So I was telling my brother, I said, now I will come visit, but I'm not moving up here. That's not going to work. It's just too darn cold. But I like being close to Chicago, but it's just too cold. But Nashville would absolutely, and you got to come up. It would absolutely surprise you as to what's going on in this city. Unbelievable. I mean, it's growing. You go downtown. John Morgan has one of his offices here. I see him on TV all the time. He and his family almost make me think I'm in Orlando.
Oh, yeah.
Tremendous growth. Yeah, tremendous growth. Tremendous growth.
I think the last time I was there, because I went there for a conference, and it had to be around maybe 1998 or 2000.
Oh, you'd be shocked if you came down here now. You would be apt. Now I was talking to a native Nashville into their sports report, as a matter of fact, and he was talking about West Nashville, how bad it is in that area. It's still bad. It's someplace you don't want to be at night. And if you go there during the day, you want to hurry up and get on through there. But it's over by the Titan Stadium. Interestingly enough, just on the other side of the Titan Stadium is a brand new world, different world altogether. And I've been down through in there, but the growth that if you wouldn't recognize the city if you flew into it today, and the drive, just flying in, you'd be shocked. It's unbelievable. I mean, and it's a lot of activity. That's one of the things that I've been doing recently, just trying to connect. It's a lot of basketball.
Okay. All right. So let me know when you're headed back to Florida now, because you're talking about Tennessee. We're trying to get you to come back to Florida.
I was supposed to be coming down later on this week, but it appears as though that's not going to happen. I've got to. The closest I'm gonna get look like I'll be in South Carolina. Okay. And if things go well, I may shoot from Carolina down, from South Carolina to Florida real quick, because that's a short drive. But I don't know. I don't know when that's going to take place. That was the Arthur Ashe Courage Award. I think Jim Kelly won.
Right.
That he won. I believe that was that other. I'm watching some of it now. It was the Arthur Ashe Courage Award. And I don't know if they got all these ladies. I can't hear the sound of it. But I think that won that award because he's been battling cancer.
Right. Definitely. I'm trying to see. Oh, actually, you know what? You're right. I'm looking at it now. It is Oakley. It is Charles Oakley.
Yeah, but Charles Oakley. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Jerry Jones. With Jerry Jones.
And the young man.
Cowboy's son. Was that cursing? Something about Jerry Jones in the news today.
I didn't see that yet. My Cowboys, boy, Jerry makes too much. He makes too much news. Let the Cowboys make news. He needs to be quiet. Just relax.
They can't do it, man. Can't do it, man.
Huh?
When you have that kind of personality, when you got that kind of ego, I mean, you can't help yourself. He
certainly has an ego. He needs to suit up and go play.
But yeah, right. That's funny. Well, listen. Please talk with your brother.
I will.
I
will.
See if because I got a million questions for him. I got a million questions. Okay.
He's very passionate about this game. So if it's around this game, he's got plenty to talk about.
Okay.
He and I have some very interesting conversations from time to time. With all his vast playing and coaching experiences, sometimes our conversations are very interesting. I always learn something.
Well, the one thing that I do know is that he's old school, so there's definitely a lot to talk about. So, yeah.
But you'd be surprised. I mean, he understands, and he does a lot of training, and his training is trying to be a part of teaching the game as from the foundation of the game, which is old school foundation, into today's change of pace game. He struggles with it sometimes because he doesn't believe in that principle, but he's able to teach it really well. And when we have different philosophies, I come from a different. Although I'm old school, I'm in today's game, and I've had to make some adjustments because it's just the way the game is being played now. So we're really getting into some interesting conversations. So it'd be great to have him on.
Okay, all right. Looking forward to it, and hopefully you'll be making your way down south. Sometime soon.
I hope so. I hope so.
Ricky the raccoon was asking about you.
I tell Rick, I said, stay strong. Stay strong.
All right. Well, Charles Morse, Vince Carter, the original
Amen.
Coach Carter. when
right.
we come your way every Wednesday right here at www.youthcentralsports.com, where we enjoy our conversations. We definitely, as Vince say, you know, once in a while we do give our opinion.
Yeah,
It'd be like, hey, Vince, you think Shaq can defend a pick and roll? No.
no, no, he cannot. Now, he's not by himself, but he cannot.
Well, you're telling the truth, though. No, he never could. Never could. Never could. Never could. And then the funny thing, I mean, before we go, just out of an opinion, why is it that the pick and roll is so hard to defend, Vince? Why? I mean, why is it so hard to defend?
I think now it's the strategic placing of who you're pick and rolling on. You're getting guys who that's not something they've grown up with. They don't have that athletic ability. They don't have the wherewithal. They're getting accustomed to it. And then you're picking and pop. You're doing pick and roll and pick and pop with guys. You get a lot of mismatches. That's what's making it very difficult. You got that pick and slip where he pulls up like he's going to set a screen and he slides to the basket. So we're trying to cover the pick and roll. This guy slipped already. You got the over-the-top pass going to the basket. You got a big guy stepping back shooting a three-pointer. That pick and pop, I mean, that pick and roll is tough. And it's the mismatch that you pick. Steph Curry, that's what Houston was doing to Steph. They put Steph in that on the switch, and it worked him. So it works very well, and you got to practice that. You got to create the right matchup on the floor to defend that. We have that problem in high school basketball. Certain players, do you go under the screen or over the screen? A lot of times you go under the screen on the shooter, and you just gave him a shot. You got to go up on top of that screen and try to keep him from shooting. We trap screens sometimes, and that, you know, so you got to get to the ball before you can get it out. It's tough to do now, and so one step late, one step second late, you got a basket. You got a basket. So, you know, and so it makes the game interesting. It's a nice twist to the game. A lot of it too. They're doing a lot of it. They also got what they call a double pick the picker. And I saw Golden State do that, and that's something I fell in love with, where you go down and set you a pick, and then you go up and set a pick, and then the other guy, then Steph will come down behind and shoot the back. That thing was beautiful. They ran it to perfection. So another twist on that, you know. So that's what makes it hard.
Right. Well, I was hoping to see you because I was going to take you over there and videotape you playing the drums so we can show it on the show. So, you know, when you come to town.
That's coming. Showcase my talent.
All right, again, Charles Morse with Vince Carter. Happy that you join us here every Wednesday, right here at www.youthcentralsports. Vince, myself, telling you to have yourself a great rest of the week and you be blessed.
Amen. Good night.